I got nothing against the pigs. Theoretically. God didn't say, "Oh, it's dark in here. I think we need some light." He just created light. And on the sixth day, after creating Adam, God suddenly says, "It's not good with man alone. I think I'm going to have to create a woman." Just go ahead and do it. Why did he have to say it? Well, what about the religious conviction that since God is so perfect, he can't possibly need anything? Isn't that a good question? Imagine if tomorrow morning people wake up and say, "You know what? I don't need anything." First of all, they would become nice people. It would be a pleasure to talk to them. It's our neediness that makes us miserable. People say, "Why can't we all get along and love each other?" Shouldn't be difficult. After all, we all have the same needs. Ever hear that argument? We all have the same needs. Why don't we understand each other and get along? Such a ridiculous argument. That's why we don't get along. Because we have the same needs. I need this country and you need this country. Well, how is that going to get resolved? I need the dollar and you need the dollar. How is that going to get resolved? If everyone needed something different, we would never argue about anything. The big problem is that we all need the same thing. Actually, the real problem is not that we need the same thing. The real problem is that we need. And it's a problem because it's not true. We're suffering, we're living under this illusion. I need, I have to have, I have to go, I have to do. Even with religion. I stop a guy in the street, I say, "Like to put on tefillin?" He says, "I don't need that." I know, nobody needs that. Unless you have some hang-up on leather or something. Nobody needs to put on tefillin. But if you're religious, you're told, you need to do this. And you tell your grandchild, you need to do this, you need to keep kosher. The kid says, "No, I don't." He says, "No, you do, you need to, you must, you have to." "No, I don't." "You want to burn in hell?" "Oh, okay. I see. You've obviously run out of answers. And now you're resorting to threats. Well, it doesn't work. In fact, the kid says, here, watch. Let me show you that I don't need to keep kosher. Look at what I'm eating." See? I don't need to keep kosher. So, do we or don't we? This teenager goes off to Europe on vacation. And he comes into the, where do they stay when they go? The hostel. And he says, "I need to call my mother. Which phone can I use?" And the person there says, "You need to call your mother?" He says, "Yeah, I need to call my mother." "You need to call your mother?" So he thinks quickly and he says, "Actually, my mother needs me to call her. Which phone can I use?" See? Now you're being honest. Stop lying. You don't need to call your mother. Isn't that true? I need to put on tefillin. I need to keep kosher. I need to light Shabbos candles. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't take your mother's need and call it your own. I think this is the essence of honoring your parents. The essence of the mitzvah to honor your parents means They need, not you. Don't make it about yourself when it's really about them. And the same is true with everything in life. I need to eat. What, did I invent this? Did I even ask for it? No. It is not my need, it's my handicap. I can't go without food, and I didn't do this to myself. There's a story in the Gemara about one of the great sages was riding down the road on his donkey, and he sees a guy on the side of the road who was very ugly. So he stops and he says, "Excuse me, you are very ugly." Huh? This is not a lesson in etiquette. The man said, "Don't complain to me. Complain to my Creator." And then he wasn't as ugly anymore. The ugliness came from his arrogance, from his conviction that he is independent, self-made, gets credit for everything about himself. So the sage thought quickly and said, "Oh, you take credit for everything you've done? Why'd you make yourself so ugly?" He said, "Well, actually, I didn't do that." So for the first time in his life, he admitted to having a Creator. So we got to become a little more honest. We don't have needs. We don't. We can laugh at life. We could laugh at death because we don't need it. Does that sound a little dangerous? I don't need to be alive. I don't need to be here. I never asked for it. It's not my idea, not my need. Does that sound a little suicidal? That's why you have to have the second half. I don't need, but surprise, surprise, the Creator does. So we're turning reality upside down. We've always believed, we've assumed, we were convinced God is perfect and needs nothing. We are messed up and we have needs. We are needy, God is not. It's not working. And it's not true. Let's try the opposite. See what happened at the giving of the Torah? God came down to Mount Sinai. Moshe went up. We are not the needy ones. God is coming down. We can go up. Turn it upside down. And it makes so much more sense. I'm needy. I didn't ask to be born. But the Creator of the entire universe has no need. How does that make any sense? Would you create a universe that you didn't need? Where would you put it? What does it mean that God created the world and He doesn't need it? That's nonsense. Oh, but He's God. Why would He need anything? Oh, but He's God. What are you telling Him? That He can't need anything? You're dictating to Him what He can and cannot do? It turns out that the entire Torah, from the 10 Commandments given at Mount Sinai to the studies of Torah going on today in the yeshivas all over the world, what are we studying? God's needs. He has 613 of them. Which means I am not the needy one, I am the needed one. So, what would you rather be? Needy or needed? We've got it so backwards. No wonder We're miserable. I feel so needy that if you need something from me, I resent it. So being needed becomes a resentment. Leave me alone. Got my own problems. Why should I have children? Why should I raise a family? I take care of myself first, no? I have so many needs. It's not working. It's the opposite. I need is depressing. You need me? It's a party. You're home alone, and it's lunchtime. You're going to make lunch? Probably not. Why bother? It's a burden. If there's nothing in the fridge from yesterday, you'll go without lunch, who cares? But if somebody calls up and says, can I come over for lunch? It's so much more enjoyable to be needed than to be needy. And we cheat ourselves out of it. In fact, people who are severely depressed and maybe even suicidal, it's not because they have so many needs. It's because they're convinced that nobody needs them. That's a killer. If you really feel like you are not needed, it's worse than being needy. So, I can afford to admit that I have no needs if I know that I am needed. So not having any needs liberates me from all the distractions, and knowing that I'm needed gives me an exciting reason to get up in the morning. So the combination is absolutely perfect. To the degree that I am needed, I don't have to be needy. To the degree that I am not needy, I am available for those who need me, beginning with God himself. Well, what about the religious conviction that since God is so perfect, he can't possibly need anything? Aren't we told that in yeshiva, in school, and Talmud Torah? God doesn't need anything, it's all for you. Oh, what's all for me? Everything God does is for you. So he's doing it for me. So who needs it? I didn't ask, but he does it for me. So what's driving him? Very, very simple. Of course, no need demands God's attention. It's true. Nothing imposes itself on God. So in that sense, he doesn't need anything. But he is a purposeful being. A purposeful being needs a purpose. Nothing imposes itself on him. That's just him. So he is perfect. There's nothing more powerful than him that motivates him. He's not afraid to die. So what motivates him? Purpose. That's internal, not imposed from the outside. So yes, he is needy. But he is essentially needy from internal motivation, not external. Yet, there's nothing that imposes itself on God except himself. One final thought. In the description of creation, God says, "It is not good that man alone exists. I will create him a helpmate." Very famous quote, everybody knows about it. women have been abused because of it for all these years. Because, women exist only because it helps the man. But what does it really mean? To understand what it really means, you have to ask a very fundamental question. God is creating the world. On the first day, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God didn't say, "Oh, it's dark in here. I think we need some light." He didn't say that. He just created light. And then on the second day, he created the heavens. And he went through 6 successful days. And on the 6th day, after creating Adam, God suddenly says, it's not good with man alone. I think I'm going to have to create a woman. Just go ahead and do it. Why did he have to say it? Isn't that a good question? God said it is not good to be alone because he was telling Adam why he created the world. In case you're wondering, I am the creator. I am a perfect being. I am infinite, all-powerful, all-knowing. Why would I create a world? Answer, because it's not good to be alone. He was literally describing himself. So what do? You create a helpmate, a partner in existence. By saying it, he not only described himself, but he also imposed that same instinct onto people. Because we are created in his image, and he does not like being alone, that's why we also don't like being alone. In fact, it's terrible. Terrible. You end up talking to a soccer ball. So God says it is not good to be alone. And human beings share that divine trait. Why is it not good to be alone? Why? We don't know. There is no rational answer. In fact, in many ways, being alone can be perfect. If you're capable, why do you need somebody else? So, it's a bit of a mystery. We hate being alone. We get sick if we're alone. But the rest of the time, we keep begging to be alone. Leave me alone. So you walk out and they get upset. So is it good to be alone or is it not? Okay, this is what it's coming down to. In the very, very immediate past, we've discovered that being alone is terrible. Not because we need help, but because being alone is terrible. It's a godly instinct in us. We hate being alone because we're like God, and he hates being alone. That's why making a phone call, saying hello to somebody in the street, can literally save a life. Some guy actually was going to kill himself. And in his mind, he thought, if anybody says hello to me on the way to the Brooklyn Bridge, I won't kill myself. He made it to the bridge. And he was standing there looking very dejected. And somebody walked by and said, "Hey, are you okay?" I said, "Okay." Didn't kill himself. Just that little bit of attention, that little bit of recognition. Why is that so powerful? What is it? It's not like they became best friends. And this guy walking by didn't help him with his problems. He just said, "Are you okay?" And that was good enough. What is that? So we come to a very powerful, almost awesome conclusion. If you say hello to God in the morning, you've made his day. Because if we are needy to the point where saying hello can make all the difference in the world, and we are finite, tiny, if God hates being alone, he hates it infinitely. So it shouldn't be surprising if a person does one mitzvah. God asked that I should put a mezuzah on the door, I'll get a mezuzah. How powerful is that? You know, people are critical of Jews who come to the synagogue once a year on Yom Kippur. Not for the whole day. They're not that religious. But they show up. Ask them. Ask them. You enjoy coming to the synagogue? Are you kidding? I hate it. It's so awkward. I'm so uncomfortable here. I'm out of my element. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm standing, they're sitting, I'm standing. I hate this. So why are you here? So some people say, hypocrite. Shows up on Yom Kippur and thinks he's a big tzaddik. No, he doesn't think he's a big tzaddik. He is embarrassed, and he comes there despite the discomfort. So if you were to ask him, "Oh, you becoming religious?" Are you kidding? I'm getting out of here as soon as I can. So why do you come? Why? And the answer really is, it's not good to be alone. So from one visit, one time, once a year, you show up for a couple of hours, that's good enough? Yeah. Yeah. That can change your life. Somebody says, "Are you okay?" Changes your life. So if you show up and you say to God, I hate being here. This is not my thing. I don't need this. But you do, so I'm here. Can I leave now? And God says, "Yes, thank you very much." What exactly is it that God needs? To not be alone. Which means that when you're born and you exist, he is no longer alone. Right? So do you have to be a tzaddik? Do you have to be orthodox? Do you have to be frum? You have to keep all the commandments or you're doomed? That's not what God needs. He needs to not be alone. So if you exist with him, he is not alone. So what does he need? Nothing. Who does he need? You. So what are all the mitzvahs for? So why do I have to do this and I have to do that? God doesn't want to be alone. So he creates you and gives you freedom of choice. Because if you don't have freedom of choice, he's still alone. He has angels, he's still alone. Because angels don't have an opinion. They don't have free choice. Only with human beings is God not alone. However, he wants to be with you, not against you. Sometimes your best friend rubs you the wrong way. You clash even with the person you love the most. So the ideal is, yes, I need you in my life, but stop fighting me. Let's get on the same page. So God says, I'm creating you because I need you to be mine. That's what chosen means. Be mine. But if I'm keeping Shabbos, God says, if I rest on the seventh day, and you don't rest on the seventh day, we're not getting along. So do I need you to rest on the seventh day? I need you to be with me. On the seventh day, you can be with me by resting, because that's what I'm doing. During the 6 days, I'm creating. Create with me. So all of the mitzvahs are simply God describing himself so that we can stay on the same page with him. He doesn't like pork. So, neither do I. But I'm going to say, I'm against eating pork. I'm not against eating pork. God doesn't eat pork. I'm not going to eat. Why? I'm on the same page with him. Now, why does he not like pork? I don't know, and I don't care. I'm not trying to compete with him. I just want to stay in touch with him. If he won't go for the pig, I don't go for the pig. Which means if he did, so would I. I got nothing against the pigs. Theoretically. So a Jew should not say, I cannot eat pork. I need to keep kosher. No. I need to be by God's side, and when he is keeping kosher, I keep kosher with him. When he is keeping Shabbos, I keep Shabbos with him. So imagine you're sitting at your Shabbos table, and your children won't come to the table. So what's missing? Shabbos or your children? So when we don't keep Shabbos with him, God says, where were you? I missed you. I was sitting by the table by myself. And it's not good to be alone. So all of a sudden, and this is the punchline, all of a sudden, Judaism has become a romance. I just need you. Like a marriage. I just need you. You as you are, be in my life. So why are we constantly disagreeing and arguing? Not because I don't want you in my life. I need you in my life. But stop aggravating me. Stop pulling in the opposite direction. Can't we work together so that we can be together? That's it. That's the whole Megillah. And we've been cheated out of it for all these years. Being told that we need to keep kosher, God doesn't need anything. So what am I keeping kosher for? To not go to hell. That is not a good reason. So let's start celebrating. Anytime you have a good excuse to invite some friends to get together, just to be together, there's nothing healthier, there's nothing greater, and there's nothing more godly than just getting together. Is that too hard? But don't bring your needs when you get together. Don't sit there kvetching about how hard life is. Life is not hard. It really isn't. If you think it is, it's because someone convinced you that you have needs that you don't have. So let God worry about all the things he makes me need. Right? If God says you must make money in order to buy food, in order to live, well, then that is his problem. It's your idea, take care of it. How did it become my problem? So you want me to be healthy? Okay, take care of it. That's where our trust in God comes from. Why do you think God is going to help you with all your problems? Because they're his problems. When you pray, you're not trying to change God's opinion. It's like, hey, you want me to suffer, but please change your mind. He doesn't want you to suffer. So when you ask him to take away whatever pain there is, of course he'll take it away. You're on the same page. Just show an interest. Thank you so much for listening. If anybody feels like they need to ask a question, see, now nobody's going to ask a question. If you enjoyed this conversation or this topic, and you're looking for more information, or you want to hear it again from another angle, there's a way to do that. And that is in this book. It's all there. Order it from Amazon. You can read it, reread it, and share it. These ideas, these messages, this approach to life, this approach to Torah, to meaning, and to morals is vital for the world today. And we need to get this message out to the entire world. It is universal, it's essential, it's indispensable. To support this effort, if you want to be a partner in this crime, check out the link and make a donation. It really helps a lot. And thank you in advance.